Welcome to another episode. Welcome to another episode of Gamecocks Talk with Captain Will. I'm, of course, your man, Captain Will. Make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to Gamecocks Talk with Captain Will so I continue to bring you that gospel of Gamecocks every single day. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now rocking with the best. And since you're rocking with the best, come right with your man, Captain Will. We got a good one today, y'all. We have a good one today, y'all. It is Overreaction Saturday. Overreaction Saturday for the South Carolina women's basketball team, the three-time national champions. As we see where the Gamecocks actually stand after big victory over Alabama, as we transition to playing Ole Miss on tomorrow afternoon. Overreaction Saturday, ladies and gentlemen, talking South Carolina women's basketball. Follow me on Instagram at Gamecocks. What was the name of it? Instagram, Captain Will, the OG. That's the name of it. Captain Will, the OG. Follow me on Twitter at Gamecocks Talk. And most importantly and most assuredly, follow me on YouTube, Gamecocks Talk with Captain Will. And if you want to follow SEC women's basketball, if you want to hear about Texas, you want to hear about LSU, if you want to hear about Kentucky, you want to hear about all those other basketball teams that reside in the best basketball conference in the land, chop it up with me on Ballin' with Captain Will. So, South Carolina has been playing terrific basketball. Okay, let's be clear. Terrific basketball. And after a victory over Ole Miss, where it looked great at times, in particular the first and the fourth quarter, it looked uneasy at times, in particular the second quarter. But at the end of the day, at the end of the basketball day, South Carolina won by 19 points versus Alabama. Now we transition to playing a Ole Miss basketball team that is good. An Ole Miss basketball team that is coached by one of the best coaches in the SEC, and Coach Yo. An Ole Miss basketball team that is led by a player who's averaging over 20 points per basketball game, will be a top 10 pick in the WNBA draft, in Coty McMahon. South Carolina has their work cut out for them on tomorrow afternoon. Game is at 12 o'clock on ESPN. I've said before, and I say again, I'm not a huge fan of games being at 12 o'clock in any capacity. Game day is going to be there. That starts, I believe, at 11 o'clock. So it's going to be a lot of extra stuff. A lot of extra stuff that's going to be associated with this basketball game. And I'm not a huge fan of that. I'm just not. I don't know why. I'm just not a fan of it being so early, because everything is out of rhythm. It's out of rhythm for South Carolina, but it's even more so out of rhythm for Ole Miss. And sometimes when things are out of rhythm, like in this basketball game happening so early, with Ole Miss having to travel, they're out of their rhythm. This is their third game in a week, and South Carolina, although it's being played at home in Colonial Life Arena, where we are sensational. I just feel a little different about it. If this game was at 7 o'clock and game day was starting at 6, I'll feel so much better about this basketball games in terms of because I'm talking about the level of play. I want a really good basketball game, high level basketball game between two, very, very good teams with South Carolina and Ole Miss. What I don't want to do is see an injury, not an injury. I don't want to see any injuries. Let's be real. I don't want to see no injuries on either basketball team, but I don't want to see a foul fest. I don't want to see a turnover fest. I just want to see high level basketball. But sometimes at 12 o'clock, I sometimes don't get that. That's just a fact of the matter. This team is playing terrific and has beat a lot of great teams along the way. And as a reason, with 26-2 overall in the record and 12-1 in overall in conference, play and playing one of the toughest the toughest conference in the land, but one of the toughest schedules in the land, being number 10 in strength of schedule. But where does this team stand as compared to last year's squad when we lost in the national championship game versus UConn? Where does this team actually stand? And it's kind of hard to judge because last year's squad played the number 1 strength of schedule in the country. So now being top 10 in the country in terms of strength of schedule means that we are playing, the best. Last year's schedule was very, very tough. Now we rose to the occasion and played in the national championship game. We played UConn twice, and the conference schedule was always tough. But if you just look at a couple of stats that makes me feel good about this team going forward, obviously for the rest of the regular season, which is only 3 basketball games, but as we transition to the SEC tournament that's happening really soon, the first week of March is right down the street. Next week, matter of fact, so you look at our defense. That's the biggest difference with South Carolina this year versus last year. Last year's defense was very good, being 13th ranked in defensive rating. This year's defense is better. Currently, South Carolina is number 2 in the country in defensive rating. The screws weren't as tight last year as they are this year. You look at the field goal percentage. Last year's team, very, very good, 6th in the country. This year's basketball team, 2nd in the country. 2-point percentage is basically the same in terms of, field goal percentage allowed. And last year we was 3rd ranked, and this year we third ranked again. What's different this year thus far is 3-point percentage allowed. Last year's basketball team did not defend the 3 well at all. We didn't defend the 3 well, nor did we shoot the 3 well. But we'll get to that in a second. Last year's basketball team, in terms of defending the 3-point basket, South Carolina was 65th in the country. 65th. We saw how many 3-pointers was launched versus UConn, AZ Fudd and Paige Beckers, Sarah Strong. This year's basketball team is 11th in 3-point percentage allowed at 27%. It's a little different this year versus last year. And I talked about how we did not defend the 3 terrific. We didn't shoot the 3 terrific as well. And this is despite having Pow and Tessa Johnson on this basketball team. Because you had career lows from the 3-point line with Raven Johnson, Malaysia Fulwiley. We had players who just didn't shoot the 3 ball well last season. Powell's 3 was down from the previous season. Last year's basketball team shot 66 in the country from 3-point range. This year's basketball team is 7th shooting the 3 at 38%. This team can shoot the 3 very well. You got Tessa Johnson, who is leading the country in 3-point percentage, top 10 in the, I shouldn't say that. She's leading the conference in 3-point percentage. I wish she was leading the country in 3-point percentage, but she's 10th in 3-point percentage. You got Raven Johnson, who had her worst 3-point shooting basketball time to this year, shooting her highest percentage at about 36% from 3. You got Tanaya Latson, who's shooting about 35% from 3. You shooting a better percentage this year while also defending it, the 3 being 11th in the country. Those things matter with this basketball team. Rebounding was a big difference last season to this season. So offensive rebounding percentage, Carolina last season, 17th in the country. This season, 11th in the country. Defensive rebounding percentage, Carolina was 152nd in defensive rebounding percentage. This year, 124. total rebounding percentage for this basketball team, as it is right now, South Carolina is 11th in the country. Last season, it was 19th in the country. Those numbers matter. And you could dream. You could really dream if we had all the horses in the barn, so to speak. If Chloe was on this basketball team, if Ashlyn Walker was on this basketball team, where this team would be in rebounding. But thank goodness we got a player like Madina who transcended the rebounding percentages on this basketball team. Madina's averaging 11 rebounds per game, which is number 1 in the country. I want to say number 1. I don't know why I want to say number 1 in the country, because she could be number 1 in the country in rebounding if she played more minutes. She's number 1 in the country in total rebound percentage, but she only played about 24 minutes per basketball game. She's number 1 in the conference while only playing 24 minutes, y'all, in rebounds per game. That is crazy. That is crazy. You have a player like Madina, if she was averaging 35 minutes per game, 35 minutes per game, should be averaging about 18 rebounds per game, 19 rebounds per game. But she's not. She's playing 24 minutes and getting you 11 rebounds, and is number 1 in the conference in offensive rebounding percentage, number 1 in the conference in total rebound percentage, number 1 in the conference in total rebounds per basketball game. She's playing outstanding and is a key reason why Carolina is in the conversation to being one of the best rebounding basketball teams in the country. You know, those are the differences, because folks will ask me, and it was asked to me, I think it was asked to me by Alyssa Lang from SEC Network. What's different about last year's basketball team versus this year's basketball team, basically. And it's rebounding. It's rebounding. And having a player like Madina on this basketball team, giving you that edge, giving you that extra dimension of rebounding, intimidation. And here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's only getting better. It's only getting better for her. So the numbers will continue to increase. It will. And playing a basketball team versus Ole Miss on tomorrow afternoon, where they got good size. Okay, they got good size. They have, really good talent. But is anybody doubting that Madina is not going to play well after what she's displayed the last 5 basketball games in conference play? Is anybody doubting that? Madina is averaging 13 points, 11 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 2 blocks, only 2 turnovers, an offensive rating of 117.2, and leading the conference in defensive rating at 66.1. I don't doubt that no more. She has enough data now for me to say that she is one of the best centers in the country. Can we sit back now with a clean heart and a solid mind and say that Madina is one of the best centers in the national basketball college scene? Can we say that? I think we can. The numbers speak for itself. She has been straight up dominant. Dominant. And I think when the season is over, we will appreciate it even more. And then we can make those comparisons versus post players in the past that played and suited up for the South Carolina women's basketball team. But as it stands right now, because she went through that low, but she came out that low and has been balling tremendously. I can talk about how great this team offensively, and I can talk about how great this team is defensively. I can talk about the defensive ratings, the offensive ratings. I can talk about Joyce Edwards, averaging 20 points per basketball game and shooting 61% from the field and getting averaging almost 7 rebounds and 3 assists. I can talk about all those great things and where I see her, trending in the national championship type picture. But we have so many players on this basketball team that are excellent. We are a top-heavy team in terms of talent. Raven and Joyce and Madina and Tessa and Tanaya, and I've said this multiple times before. I've said I'll take our starting lineup versus any starting lineup in the country. By far. By far. Our 5 girls versus any 5 I will take and beat anybody 5-on-5. Once we go down to the bench, there's some things to work out. But Maddy has gotten better. Okay, Agot has gotten better. Ayla has gotten better. Alicia has gotten better. Those players are going to be cornerstones for this basketball team. Now, they're not asked to do, especially the freshmen on this basketball team. You know, I see all the freshman lists of who's the best freshman in the country. And that's cool. That is great. That is so nice. And you know, and the reason, one of the reasons why these young ladies are getting the press, getting the publicity that they are getting, number one, they're playing really good basketball. But number two, they are having more of an opportunity with minutes to show those talents, so to speak. Agot and Ayla, number 6 in the recruiting cycle, number 16 in the recruiting cycle. Those 2 basketball players, both 5-star recruits, are going to be tremendous. Some of these players are getting a lot of buzz as freshmen. Will they get the same buzz as a sophomore, as a junior? I'm going to say on record right now that when in 2 years, when Agot and Ayla are starting and averaging 25+ minutes on this basketball team, those 2 basketball players will be in the top echelon of terrific players from that recruiting class. If Agot was to transfer to ABC school in the country, she'll be putting up outstanding numbers. You see what numbers Sakima Walker is putting up for California when she could barely get off the bench for South Carolina? That just tells you the talent on this basketball team. Don't get confused about, you know, folks talking so much about Jazzy, talking so much about Aubrey Galvin, talking so much about all these freshmen. I watched them all. I watched all the top freshmen in high school. I watched all of them in international play. Our freshmen are some dogs. They're just only averaging 16 minutes per basketball game because they are playing behind. Okay, let's be real. Our starting 5 all will be drafted into the WNBA, either in the first round or the second round. That is just a fact. How many basketball teams can legitimately say that their whole starting 5 will be drafted into the WNBA? This year, our starting 5, Raven will be drafted. Tanaya will be drafted. Madina will be drafted. Right now, Madina and Tanaya are projected to be in the first round. Raven is projected to be in the high second round, potentially in the first round. Joyce Edwards, in 2 years, will be drafted top 3, 1, 2, or 3. Tessa Johnson, next year, is projected to be a first-round pick. Chloe Kitts, who have not played a minute this season, was projected to be a first-round pick in this right here, 2 months from now, WNBA draft. Next year, after that injury, she will be projected to be a first-round pick. You cannot just blindly put in freshmen over players who are going to be stars at the next level. Now, some basketball teams, because their talent isn't as strong, you can do those things. You can do that. You can do that at Vanderbilt. You can do that at certain other basketball teams. You're not going to do that at South Carolina. But when those players move on, when Raven and Tanaya at the guard position moves on, and the 29 minutes that Raven Johnson is getting, the 29 minutes that Tanaya Latson is getting, yes, we have a excellent player in Jersey Robinson coming into the fold. We probably will get a transfer guard to come in and get some minutes as well. But in conference play, Maddy is averaging 24, 25 minutes per game. That's going to be the same or a little bit more next season. Agot, before the injury that sat her down for a while, she was averaging 20-plus minutes in conference play. When things are set and done next year, Agot is going to be getting 20 minutes or more. Ayla McDowell will be getting 20 minutes or more for this basketball team next season. The numbers will pan out, and our freshmen are very, very good. This basketball team is excellent. Okay, we got 3 games remaining on the schedule before we, go to the SEC tournament, and obviously we're going to be more. I mean, unless we lose, we're going to be a number 1 seed. I ain't gonna say we're going to lose, because we ain't losing no games. Okay, we ain't losing. We're not losing against Ole Miss. We're not losing against Kentucky, and we're not losing against Missouri for sure. Okay, versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss is a very good basketball team. They're 19th in the country. They're 22nd in strength of schedule, 26th offensive rating, 21st defensive rating. We playing at the crib. I don't like playing at 12 o'clock, but we're going to win by at least 15 points versus Ole Miss. Book that. Book it. Kentucky, we finish up the season with Kentucky March the 1st. It's going to be in Kentucky. We're going to win by at least 10 points versus Kentucky. And Kentucky is very good. 16th in the net, 30th in strength of schedule, 21st in offensive rating, 47th in defensive rating. They are very, very good at the game of basketball. But this is South Carolina women's basketball team. Okay? They ain't losing to Kentucky. But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. Kentucky is very tall. This will be the 2 biggest basketball teams playing against each other. They are coached very well by Kenny Brooks. It will be a tough game on March the 1st, but South Carolina will finish the regular season with that victory and will close out the regular season having lost only 1 basketball game in conference, and that's an overtime loss to Oklahoma. Missouri, we're going to beat the brakes off Missouri. That game is February 26th at home. We're going to win by close to 40 points against Missouri. Their defense is horrifically bad. We're going to whoop them. South Carolina going toward the SEC tournament. Well, we'll have a double bye, number 1 seed, and will be predicted to probably play Texas in the championship game. I don't want that no more. Could Vanderbilt mess around and be in the championship game? Could LSU mess around and be in the championship game? Could Kentucky mess around? I don't care who messes around and be the opponent, but I know for damn sure it's going to be the South Carolina women's basketball team. With that being said, this concludes another episode of Gamecocks Talk with Captain Will. I am your man, Captain Will. Make sure you like, make sure you share, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to Gamecocks Talk with Captain Will so I continue to bring you that gospel of Gamecocks every single day. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now rocking with the best. Since you're rocking with the best, come rock with your man, Captain Will. Let's go.
Oh, J-Rock did this beat.